No, I can't go live. I'm stoned.
Oh, we're not live. How long you been out here?
Am I allowed on TV?
Yeah, you're fine.
No, why not? 4 days.
4 days, and how you doing in terms of supplies? Are you being well fed and well taken care of?
Running low on weed.
Running low on weed. That's Ezra Levant. If you missed it earlier, make sure after this, watch straight through, watch Ezra. He went down, talked to a lot of the Occupy protesters. A bit more comedic than our Chris Sims was. Another guy that's been down talking to the protesters in Toronto at the Occupy movement is Joe Warmington. Great column in The Sun today, Joe, about, I love it. You've got online version anyway. You've got the truck, the $30,000 truck parked in the middle, no parking tags, tents everywhere with no permits. Yeah. And you and I would be hauled off to jail for this.
It's a tough time when you have to only have a $30,000 or $40,000 truck. But in terms of the weed, I don't go down to the park to get it. Where I get it is from the TTC drivers, but that's a whole other story. But here's the thing, they're having lots of fun. It's a nice love-in, 150, 200 people. And they've got control of the best real estate in Toronto. So what are you going to do?
It's a beautiful park. It's a historic park, and right next to the Anglican Cathedral downtown. From what I was told, that's where William Lyon Mackenzie held some protests back in his day.
Yeah, that's right. And you saw the truck, and you can see it's a nice campground. And if you wanted to come with me this weekend, we're going to pitch a tent and have an I Love Banks and Democracy weekend. And no permit. Let's see how long it is before they throw us out. And I don't mean to sort of pour any water on their parade, but the reality is that, Brian, they let them have the park, and then last night they took over the Yonge and Dundas and they blocked it for quite a while. And to me,
that is for people that don't know Toronto, and there's going to be a lot of people watching that do not know, that is a very busy commercial intersection. It's right outside the Eaton Centre. It's right by Yonge and Dundas Square. Lots of stores, but also lots of public transit. People just trying to get to and from work there.
It's a really bad spot to block, or a very good one, depending on how you look at it. But my point is this, is that there's real people, not all of them making millions of dollars, on their way home to their children, and there's kids coming out of school, Ryerson and other colleges in the area. And so, they're blocking these people, and they're making it really hard for them to get home. And we're also letting them have a park where other people are getting tickets or parked all around the park. So
well, yeah, I mean they're probably giving out parking tickets on the street right outside. Well, why are politicians putting up with this then?
Because they're gutless.
Because it's the same thing in Calgary. In Calgary, they said, yeah, you can set up here, no problem. They said, we don't want that park, we want that one. And by the way, send us medical supplies and condoms. Yeah, one of my viewers said to me in an email, their motto out there is, make love, not work. Yeah. Why are politicians putting up with this?
Well, you know what? I mean, they're afraid of what happened with the G20, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. They're also gutless, and, politicians are only about playing it safe most of the time. They talk a big game, they don't deliver very much. And some of the message that these protesters are, trying to get out, they're legitimate messages, and the politicians are part of that. So are the big unions, labor movement, and obviously the corporations.
The big unions out there are the public sector unions.
Yeah.
And somebody sent me an email last night, Joe, and because this is a protest against banks and big corporations, and somebody said, go and look up their pension plans. And so I did, and I looked up the pension plans for the federal workers, I looked up the pension plans for the municipal workers and the provincial workers in Ontario. And you know what they're invested in, Joe? These guys, their pension plans are so good because they're invested heavily in banks, in oil companies, in mining companies, and in malls.
Yeah, and
they own a lot of malls.
And hockey teams. And also, they brought the toilets for these people in the park. But it's a great irony that, and here's the thing, the protesters don't even realize that the big labor movements are really the place that they need to go after, because in these, particularly public sector, Brian, where they're still getting their 12 and 3-year contracts and the like, in the meantime, the average worker that's making minimum wage, or even anybody under 40,000, is paying full fare, and they're not getting those increases. So there's legitimate concerns. I think it's aimed at the wrong people.
They're not getting those increases. They're paying for them. Absolutely. Is what's going on, just like we're paying for the gold-plated pension. Why do you think there's the double standard for this sort of thing? Because I can think of lots of issues there where people would have legitimate beefs. You want to be able to gripe about them, fine. But these, if this was a pro-life march, let's say, they went down there and they said, we're going to take over this park, they'd bust them. So why do you think there is the double standard? Is it because this is a trendy left-wing issue that's spread around the world and has Alec Baldwin and Russell Simmons and all these celebs behind it?
I think you just hit it. I think that it's just one of those subjects that they love. The left loves it. But the thing that is they had an opportunity to bring in the middle class, the working class, and they failed at it. So I think at some point the politicians are going to look and see 128 people and go, you know what, we got 128 cops on double time here. We've got people going in and cleaning up this park. And you've got residents around there that are taxpayers saying, hey, I want to walk my dog in there without seeing all these hippies and the like. So at some point, I think they'll get around and realize this is not what they built it as, and it's nothing more than rebranded Marxism. And we'll see what happens. But to answer your question, I think they're just afraid, and they're, unfortunately, they don't like making tough decisions, even though that's not why we elected them.
All right, Joe Warmington, he is the Scrawler. Check him out online. Find the link at lillyspad.ca. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Take it easy. See you out there.